So in the first segment, I was talking about Hillary Clinton and how unfit she is to be the president. And I stumbled across this article on Facebook because it got shared from about 5 different people that I'm friends with. And these 5 people were not connected in my real life. And I thought, well, what's this article about? It said, why I'm voting for Donald Trump. And I read it and I was moved by it. And then I Facebook stalked Kelly Quelette from North Carolina or South Carolina, Kelly? Which Carolina are you from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. So I found her and I begged her to come on. So Kelly, thank you so much for joining the Mark Cox Show. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, of course.
So you wrote this article. It says, why I'm voting for Donald Trump. And then the first 2 lines, a Christian. As it could, I wanted to give you an opportunity. As a 25-year-old female, I think most people would automatically put you in the Hillary camp. Why aren't you a Hillary supporter?
So, yeah, I think it's funny that so many people would put me in the Hillary camp. I know a lot of people my age, are in the Hillary camp. However, especially as a mom, the pro-life issue is really close to my heart. And so obviously wanting to vote for somebody who's pro-life and is going to protect the lives of unborn children. But even more so than that, Donald Trump, to me, seems to really have America's best interest at heart as far as protecting our country in general with his policies with national security, the way that he wants to revamp our economy, I think is really the way that America's going to get back on track. And I think, growing up in America, at the age that I am, I got to grow up, in a safe place, never doubting that I was safe, never doubting that I could grow up and be whoever I wanted to be, and get an education. And I think the direction our country is going now, I'm not 100% sure that that's always going to be the case, and so I think we definitely need change. We definitely need somebody who is going to bring America back to its roots. And I see that in Donald Trump and in a lot of the things that he talks about and the policies that he has. And I also think something that's really important that I think a lot of people my age aren't thinking about is the issue of the Supreme Court judges. And, it's possible that he will be able to appoint 5 new judges in his time as president. And, that's a huge number. I know it's not 100% sure that 5 of them, but, having a 7-2 Democratic majority, obviously, as a Republican, to me, that sounds devastating for our country.
Devastating was the word I had in my mind.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep in mind that whoever is appointed as these next Supreme Court judges is going to affect our country for generations and generations to come, much more than whoever just serves the next 4 years as president. And then another reason that I'm voting for Donald Trump truly is looking at who he's running with. Mike Pence seems to be such a man of character and integrity, and that gives me a lot of hope for who else Donald Trump might surround himself with in the White House. Yeah,
you nailed it right on the head. In the last sentence of your article, you said Mike Pence is a man of character, faith, and integrity, and if this is the first person Trump has hired, I have a lot of hope for who else might surround him as he serves this term in the White House. And I think that's a great point. The judgment that Trump showed, whether Pence was his first pick or whether he was coached to make that kind of pick, was a very smart pick, and that shows that he's able to he either has the wisdom himself or he's willing to glean off of other people who are wise, who are offering him advice and taking it from there. I wanted to touch quickly on, you mentioned you're a victim of sexual abuse, and the story right now. There's 2 stories in the media, and one of them is much, much, much more covered than the other. There's Hillary's dishonesty in her WikiLeaks, but the story that's leading with Donald Trump has nothing to do with what he will do as president, but it has to do with the character assassination that they're trying to put on him. And some of the stuff is truly offensive. I don't know that you or I would defend a word of it. I wouldn't. But as a victim of sexual abuse, I'm curious, how does this affect you to hear these things, to hear that he's treating a woman basically as an object and degrading women in that case? I'm wondering why that doesn't have a larger effect on you, somebody who's experienced something that you have.
Right. Yeah, I think that's definitely a very valid question. But like you said, I definitely would never even try to justify anything that he's done. It's obviously offensive and terrible, the things that he said, and definitely, strikes a chord with me as somebody who has experienced abuse. But as I've told many of my family and friends, I think in this presidential election, we are far past voting for someone based on their moral character. And so I think personally, I've had to just try to take a step back from those things and look at the bigger issues and the bigger picture of what this means for America. And, you hear people talk about rape culture and just the culture of like men being derogatory towards women. And, how can you have a leader that treats women that way or says things about women? But, obviously the president is a huge influence in a country. But if you look at all the other people who are huge influences in our country right now too, celebrities and people in the media. I actually was scrolling through Facebook today, and somebody said if you put Donald Trump's comments to a beat and made it a rap song, it would be the number one download on iTunes. And I was like, that's so true.
It is so true.
It's so true. And you can't pick and choose who you're going to allow, to make comments like that. It shouldn't be okay for anyone, but sadly enough, it's a huge part of our American culture. And I think, from a voting perspective, I just had to take a step back and look at, what the real issues are and what it really means for our country.
We're speaking with Kelly Quelette, just a mom from the East Coast who decided to share her opinions in an article on her blog. Lastly, before I let you go, I'm curious what you think about people who say that they just can't stomach a vote for Donald Trump. Maybe they're going to vote third party, or maybe they've even gone to the dark side and said, I can't let Donald Trump be president. I'm going to vote for Hillary. Or maybe they just decided to stay home. Why do you think it's so important that people show up and actually vote for Donald Trump?
Well, I definitely think it's important to show up and vote, number one, because regardless of what people want to say, I think you have to face reality that Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton is going to be the president, come November 8th. And I think, giving into fear and not wanting to pick either one and staying home, you're not affecting any sort of change. One of them, the outcome is still going to be the same. One of them is going to become president. And as far as voting for Trump over Hillary, like I said, I think our country is going in kind of a scary direction, and I think Hillary is going to keep propelling it in that same way, probably a lot quicker than people realize. And I think she, even along with the media, has done a good job of distracting people from what the real issues are by, attacking Trump for racism and sexism, which are huge issues in our country, but are going to be solved, by people coming together and trying to understand each other, not by, who we elect to be in office. And I think that people need to take a step back and look at the bigger issues. And I think when they do, they'll see that Donald Trump does have America's best interest at heart, that he's going to protect our country. He is going to restore us to the place that we were before as an economically stable place to be, a place that we can, welcome people and give them a better life and give them freedom. And I think that's why it's important to vote for Donald Trump and make sure that people show up and not just stay home or write in somebody on the ballot.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for joining the Mark Hawk Show today. I really appreciate your time and your willingness to share with us your opinion. We're going to put your blog up on our website and share it so more people can hear the voice of a young 25-year-old mother. And your voice matters just as much as anybody else's that's ever on this station, and we appreciate you sharing it with us.
Thank you so much.
So that was Kelly Quelette. She wrote this article. She must have felt compelled enough to finally get these thoughts off her chest. I think a lot of us are like that. You just consume information and consume, and it's so frustrating that you just kind of need to let a little steam out before it explodes. And I was really glad that I stumbled across that article. We're going to share it with you at 971talk.com/Cox. It'll be up shortly. So thank you again, Kelly, for joining us. We're going to be back after this.